Morning, potential subscribers. We had an idea to go long on cable, the pound USD, and we had a big bounce off the monthly resistance. Now, the idea was originally is that we're going to come down to get this stop loss cluster, and then we were going to pump, but we didn't quite get the stop loss cluster there. So we pumped, and then we came down to get the stop loss cluster. So it's really naughty, and that's just what happened. So we've got two conditions that we need to be satisfied. Is that a liquidity probe, and then we've got a technical level to bounce off of, or to sell off of. We didn't get satisfied on that move, and it pumped, and then we fell, but then eventually we got the liquidity at 4 o'clock. Right, so that's the stops that got erased, and they got taken, and the school bullies got their lunch money. And then of course that's condition 1. This is condition 2. So currently 40 odd pips above R1, and that's how we can do it. But obviously, being at 4 o'clock in the morning, we missed it. So that's just something that happens, that we have to have condition 1, liquidity probe, condition 2, technical level. We didn't have the liquidity probe yesterday, but we got it at 4 o'clock in the morning. So very quite nasty, but that's just what we do. We've got 2 rules, so it's nice and simple, and we have to obey those rules. So nothing there. Potentially you could look for a short at ATR target long, maybe, and then we might be above tomorrow. If we're nicely above tomorrow, look for a short to target R1, which is 64 pips. But we'll look at this more closely tomorrow, because it's no guarantee that we're going to go above the ATR target long, and whether or not we're going to come down, take those stops, and up to take stops in the space of like less than 10 hours, say. Are we going to take both stop loss clusters? That would be really cruel. All right, so it's hard to say whether or not it's going to be that cruel to take both stops in such a short space of time. Be careful, I think, with that one. And also, you note that the dollar is declining as well. Start with Euro, because we just got our Eurozone data out, and we're looking to sell. Essentially, what we're doing, we're looking to sell up here. We might come up. We might get to ATR target long. So we've got 3 confluences there. We've got SLC, ATR target long, monthly resistance, all in that area. So it's going to be a very nice area to sell at. So those beeps, if you can hear them, it's just economic data releases from my FX book. So still looking to short, nice tight stop. We're looking to sell using that technical confluence for resistance, and we're potentially going to get a 5R. So this is still ongoing. So don't open now. We've got to wait for those technical criteria to be satisfied, and the liquidity criteria needs to be met as well. So potentially it could be quite horrible for those guys who are short, because it looks like we're going to come up and get the stop loss cluster. AU, I guess we can have a look at that, and we can look at EA as well. It's pumping, isn't it? No trade set up there. We're going to have to wait for ATR target long to be satisfied. Looks like we're going to get the stop loss cluster 67.20, one below 66.20. That's likely, isn't it? And then this is next month's pivot as well. It's worth mentioning. So, this is, if we're going to be above the month's pivot, it's going to be fairly bullish, from a technical perspective. So be careful if you're short. If we're above the monthly pivot, we're looking for buys. All right, nothing there. EA was something that we were looking at, but I had a disclaimers that we have to be really careful because the moves are very heavy. And the idea was that we were going to enter up here. We never did get filled. That's fine. That's fine. The idea is that we were going to pump and get ATR target long and take out some liquidity in the process, but perhaps this might be too much of a barrier and we might not get to ATR target long. So that's just something that we were thinking about potentially. It looks like that one won't be satisfied. Looks like this is going to be a big barrier, and we might come up to get that potentially, but whether or not we'll continue higher, because that's where the stops are. All right, very cruel. And so that's fine. That's like an NA, not applicable trade. It will be applicable if we get up here, but I'm not sure if we will because of that. Um, dollar Swiss, we can look at dollar CAD. Slightly worried about the dollar yen. Now let's have a look. Entry. Okay, that's fine. That's this. Yeah, this was a theoretical one, I think. It looks like we were probably okay. If we were looking to enter, might have got stopped out actually. Oh, hang on a minute. This is yesterday's trade of the day, wasn't it? Yeah, we did get stopped out. Yeah, that's fine. So, I can't remember. Yesterday's trade of the day was, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it was a dollar Swiss short, wasn't it? And resulted in a tiny loss. Our stop was a little bit too tight. That's right. Can you see that wick? Yeah. So had we have done this, just slightly wider stop, we've been okay. Yeah. So we got filled, and then we got stopped out. So we got stopped out by a tiny little amount. And had we had a slightly wider stop, it would have been a nice trade, and we could have got potentially a 2R. But to be honest with you, I'm quite happy with a tight stop because at least it means that we're not going to incur a large loss. So it's better to have tight stops. Sometimes we need a little bit wider than like 13 pips or so, and that would have been fine. That would have been fine had we just moved it a little bit wider. But it goes to show what we're doing. Monthly support 1, and then it was like liquidity probe, and looks like we're going to potentially come down and get that one, the stop loss cluster below. So that's fine. That's okay. Not annoying really so much because we can handle the small losses. It's fine. It's all about accepting small losses. That we can't have medium or large losses. That's the key. And if you have a really wide stop, that's going to hurt, isn't it? And it's going to really aggravate, and it's going to make you quite bitter and maybe even angry. So tight stops, okay, but don't have it so tight is that you're going to get stopped out. You need a little bit more, be a little bit more liberal, and that should have been fine. Yeah, so we were a little bit too tight on our stop, but that's fine. A little lesson now on your stop loss placement. It's all a case of having it quite tight, but not too tight. Have a look at dollar yen. I'm not sure about dollar yen, to be honest with you. It's just so volatile. We've exceeded data target long, so that's a good one. However, the target would be very 20 pips. So whether or not you could argue, is it worth selling it if we're only going to get 20 pips? Probably not. And also, where would your stop loss be as well? But we have exceeded the ATR target long, so that's worth noting. Yeah, so there's no trade set up there. So I think what we'll do potentially is that we'll just call it on the video, and then we can look at some setups tomorrow. But don't forget, we've got end of month, end of week as well tomorrow. So this is fine. I don't think we had anything here, did we really? No. So that's it. We'll wrap up now, and just a little panel scan on the markets. And potentially UJ could have been maybe a good short, but the stop's quite close, and the dollar Swiss would have been probably okay had we just made our stop a little bit wider. So just to recap, we've got the CAD yen. It's a buy order, and I'm not sure we're going to get filled. If we do, that's fine. And we've got the Kiwi yen long that's running, and it's up a lot as well, which is great. And that's it. So I'll wrap up now, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. And I think what will be is like quite a short day, I think, tomorrow, because I want to kind of wrap up because our signals have been excellent this week. We've done really well.